to us about Trump's immigration policy. You are integral to that immigration policy and have done a lot of work on immigration as you worked with Senator Jeff Sessions over the years. People are wondering how Trump would balance out controlling borders, ensuring we know who's coming in and out of the country, but also not being too nationalistic and perhaps creating trade wars as well as creating a closed society.
Well, the United States is in no danger of becoming a closed society. We are the most open society in the world. We have the most generous immigration policy. We have the world's largest trade deficit. We have the least amount of border control. In fact, what's actually striking is that even though Britain couldn't exercise self-determination because of their membership in the EU, Britain still had a greater amount of border control than the United States does, which is a really astonishing statement, and it's a profound indictment of our political class. So moderating our trade policies and immigration policies to serve the interests of the people living here today will simply be a move towards the historical position of most civilized countries, which is that if you're making a trade deal, if you're making an immigration deal, you have to first and foremost look out for your own workers.
Trump made some comments this weekend while he was in Scotland, obviously went there for the golf course, and yet it was the perfect timing to be there. He ended up giving a press conference on Brexit. Was that planned, by the way, that he say, okay, I want to be there when the Brexit happens?
Well, there was certainly an awareness. That at the timing of the trip would place it right after Brexit, which we thought would be the responsible thing to do, considering that you don't want to come in right before the vote and distract from it. So, I mean, it was a long-planned trip, but there was certainly awareness inside the campaign about where the timing would fall.
Okay, so he made comments over the weekend talking about the Muslim ban. Do you want to clarify, has his tone changed on a Muslim ban? Should he become president?
I think what you've seen is the policy outlined in his speech that he gave after the Orlando shooting. And that has been that we are going to focus on suspending migration from countries with a proven link to terrorism until a better vetting procedure can be put in place. And we've seen not just dozens, not just scores, but hundreds of terror-linked individuals that have ended up in the United States as a result of our immigration policies.
Okay, so he's talking about specific countries. That's where the vigilance will be in terms of a Muslim ban.
The most effective way to screen out dangerous individuals linked to radical Islam is to focus on countries where they know they live.
Okay. By the way, the other news headline this past week was obviously the Supreme Court in a split decision essentially knocking down the president's immigration reform, which was done by executive action. Your thoughts on that?
Well, the fact that it's a 4-4 split underscores really what is at stake for America in the November election. That will be eventually, or could be, relitigated. And you could see a new effort to come up with a different result, because all that happened was they kicked it back down and they upheld the circuit court ruling as a result of that decision. If you get a fifth justice on there that Hillary Clinton appoints, they could rule in favor of the president's actions, which would mean that any president now or in the future could unilaterally suspend all immigration rules on a whim, and then effectively you would have no borders in America.
Wow. You know what really resonated with me?